Hello and welcome. Today we're continuing the story of what's going on with D&D and the narrative that's being pushed. Wow, I thought the Troll Lord Games situation was bad, but apparently PBS NewsHour comes out with the whole news story of Dungeons and Dragons and how evil the game actually is, how they're trying to flip the game and turn it upside down just to make their own narrative out of the placement of it. PBS NewsHour. The rules for Dungeons and Dragons were written by a racial existentialist. As the tabletop gaming community becomes more diverse, players and creators are trying to rewrite them. When was Dungeons and Dragons never diverse? Everyone has ever been allowed to play the game. Everyone that wants to belly up to the table can play the game. There is nothing stopping people. I never thought I'd be doing a third video at this point on this what's going on in D&D because it's absolutely insanity at this point. I have not actually fully read this. I'm going to read it today, but I can tell you right now, just from the tweet alone and by the hundreds of people responding to this, it's pretty blatantly not what it's supposed to be. How a new generation of gamers is pushing for inclusivity beyond the table. Everyone's included in the game in the first place. All you got to do is actually own it up, pick yourself up, and sit down at a table to play. Hell, I've been talking with people in my Discord, and they tell me that they have stores where they are, and they get up towards to 30 people randomly coming into the store and playing D&D on certain nights. For decades, players of tabletop role-playing games have used dice, pens, and paper to enrage from a form of entertainment that combines collective storytelling with strategic public puzzle solving and combat stimulation. That's escapism. That's creating a fantasy world. Once considered a niche hobby, these types of games are experiencing a boost in mainstream visibility thanks to the series like Stranger Things and the upcoming film of Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Well, I would actually say there's a lot more out there than just those two things. Yes, Stranger Things, they showcased a lot of it, but there was also the D&D cartoon, a ton of revisions to the books. Dungeons and Dragons! Go and look online. You have RPG Drive-Thru. You have many video games out there. They tried even in Magic the Gathering to do a crossover with D&D with Into the Forgotten Realms. So there is a lot of people out there and there's a lot big reach with it. Hasbro has pushed this game out there everywhere, and they've even come out and said that it's under monetized, and that was where we first started this adventure. D&D alone generated some 100 million to 150 million. You know what? D&D is not the only game in town. You've also got Mage the Ascension, anything by White Wolf, which is them. You've also got Cyberpunk, Shadowrun. You've got hundreds of different tabletop games you can go play. D&D is not the only thing in town. Tabletop gaming permeate popular culture through podcasts, live streaming, internet shows such as Critical Role. The community surrounding them has become more diverse, traditionally seen as a pastime for white male suburbanites. What? Where do you get this? White male suburbanites are the only people playing D&D? What are you? Tabletop gaming has more recently become a platform for minorities and marginalized people to tell their own stories. No, it's always been. It's always been diverse. Everyone's allowed to play. Everyone can pick it up and play it. I keep hearing of stories where people literally go into a store, sit down, and play. People of color and women have always been a part of tabletop gaming culture, says Steve Dashili, a postdoctoral fellow at American University who specializes in studying male-dominated subcultures. Okay, so they're saying that they've always been a part of it. This article says that it's a male-dominated subculture, but actual play shows the term for tabletop role-playing game performed for audiences gives more visibility. So does everything on social media, and yet right now we're going into a crisis here in Canada where it's going to be limited on what we can say. I'm not even going to attempt to say your name. Is something of a celebrity game master, so someone that plays the game well, appeared on many popular actual play channels such as Critical Role, Dimension 20, okay, sponsored by Wizards, okay, yep. While playing, she gravitates towards non-human characters, elves and merfolk. Sure. Growing up and articulated as others on several axes of identity, my brain automatically defaults to that, said them, who was a black and member of the LGBT community. Even though it is uncomfortable to be constantly, even though it is uncomfortable to be othered constantly, it is what I know and it feels right. There's not the trauma attached to otherization, so it feels like a fun opportunity to play. What if being marked differently came with fun benefits? What the hell are you trying to say? What was this word salad? Otherization. What the hell is otherization? I what? Learning new words with Cinder Shadow. Okay, I have to look this up. Otherization definition: the process of otherizing. Otherizing definition: present particle of authorize. Otherize definition: to make or regard a person's social group as alien or different. Oh, so you're an individual. Is that what this is coming down to? You know, when you search definitions and you get some strange things coming up. September 2021, Otherization in the Language of Science. They have this strange comic, Stop Othering Me. What's othering? Your kind would never understand. So what I get from this comic is it's a form of elitism based on trying to make up a word to try and confuse people. The word otherization might be relatively recent coinage, but the conceptual framework is age old. So they're trying to apply it to something that's already been known, and now it's this. This has been Learning New Words with Cinder Shadow. Store, play in the community events organized with Wizards of the Coast, but she sometimes felt like an outsider in a space where it was mostly white men. Oh my god. Is this literally where they only see one thing? Those were uncurated tables where things were very monocultured very quickly. Meaning you sat down and you played the game, but all you could see was what the color of their skin was. Recently, actual play has been finding port with a new generation of gamers, many of who have come more diverse backgrounds. Social media allows fans to show forms of communities, yada, yada, yada. This new guard of hobby geeks are highly aware. So what you're telling me here, this article is telling me here, is this new guard of hobby geeks. They happen to be bi-interracial people of color, this is the article, are now gatekeeping the hobby. That's what this is telling me, straight up, is the new guard of geeks are now gatekeeping the hobby against other people. But even within these gaming communities, there's some friction. Old School Renaissance, or OSR, and gaming movement who players claim that they are against outside politics, premating their game space. Yes, outside politics don't belong at the table. If there's politics that happen in the game, then it's a natural flow of the process. But if you're going to say that someone has to sit there and play this because you have some crazy idea because they came across C's or something like that, that's not what this is about. That creates friction in itself. That creates a situation where people don't want to play and everyone else will just get up and leave. This is not PBS. Well, on that note, I've read enough of this article to say it's nothing but just propagandic trash from PBS, the public broadcasting station, meaning funding that was put out there wrote this article. People are pissed. And you want to see how mad people are? They're starting to cancel their subscription to PBS. Such as a Nerd Contigo. I don't know who this is. Share and retweet this and pull your pledges. No joke, across 3 households. We canceled 3 pledges to PBS today. No amount of dissent children's programming can make this kind of revisionist history and political pandering acceptable. Use the hashtag PBS critical failure. Well, yeah, I don't blame people from doing stuff like this. And this is one of the reactions that will happen. Because I gotta say, that article and the tweet is absolute horrid to just see. And I gotta say, some of the stuff I've seen on PBS lately is not up to the standard for the program that we used to see. Well, I gotta know, I'm putting this behind me because that was a mouthful of everything that came out of PBS in the last day or so. There's a lot of people up in arms over this one, and I'm not surprised. Yeah, at least we learned a new term that is being thrown around. It's not an official dictionary word. It's just literal something that is coming out of all of this. Word garbage at this point. When you put random words together in letters, someday they'll form something that people will adapt to. Until that time happens, I've been your proud Canadian Phoenix, Cineshadow, entertaining you here today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.